presentation and the later panel. I will try to be as quick as possible, even though I have 10 minutes, but I would like to make up time for the panelists because I have the 3 ecosystem players which are important for today's conversation. So I will skip maybe some slides that I prepare in order to make it as quick as possible. Why Infobip is, let's say, having some important role and why we think that we are the one who can talk about this topic in the ecosystem is because we are the one having more than 100% connections with the operators globally. Of course, majority of that is SMS, which we will talk today why somehow is going and moving on some other direction. Some of them are voice, RCS, and APIs that are topic of today's conversation. 42 billion interaction monthly are passing through our platform. Majority of that is still SMS, and the biggest part of SMS are one-time PIN transactions. So that's why we are here today, because we are seeing that this portion is moving to some other direction, which is positive if you ask me, because SMS was never designed to be authentication method or product or whatever. It becomes something like that because it is super easy, every device is reachable, and you can authenticate the person. But if you don't think about the risk that SMS is bringing as authentication, then you are missing the point, I think. But okay, we are where we are. Future is bright. That's why Telecom are as well thinking what kind of other APIs, product, solution value they can bring to the ecosystem in order to bring better and more secure solutions there. So these are the maps that are saying what is happening with SMS. The red one, this is the map maybe more than a year old, so this is already changing. So more and more countries are dropping with the SMS traffic. There are a lot of challenges. It's not just the security part that I mentioned, and that's why we are going into APIs for identity. It's the AIT traffic, it's the commercials models, etc., etc. But Telecom are seeing that this traffic is dropping, and they are asking and searching for some other monetization part that they can bring into their companies. Considering as well that they are investing in their network, they have healthier and healthier database, they are the one that can bring new solutions to the market for sure. Infobip is there because we are their partners in different countries, different regions, different products, and we want to be their partners in the future with the identity space for sure. So where we are now, what MNO did, they become authentication provider, I would say by luck or suddenly or something like that, because as I state, SMS were there reachable for every device. Whenever we want to authenticate or be, let's say, new user on any application on the mobile device, usually it's like you will receive PIN. Doesn't matter, SMS, WhatsApp now, or some other channels, but this is the first step to authenticate yourself as a user of some application or some business on the mobile. The question again is, what is our identifier on the mobile? Because national ID for sure is not. Is it the face recognition, something that is good on a mobile device or something third? But anyhow, mobile device is becoming our right hand. We are having our wallets there, our digital identity parts that were already talked today, etc. So mobiles are almost like us. Okay, we can change the mobile number, but if this mobile number is new to the ecosystem, to the market, then the trust to that mobile number is not anymore that big. So we have another different APIs that can confirm that as well. So we should move from one-time pins over the SMS to some better authentication real-time solutions. These are the one, of course, it's not just mobile network operators that are providing authentication solutions. There are other players like biometrics, like in our pockets, in our hands. They can be the one that can really provide different kind of checks, number, trust, etc. into the business. And of course, it's always the question about the consent. It's always the questions who is using those data, etc. We will discuss that a bit later with the panelists. But the API-based solutions that are here already for some time from mobile network operators, database and network, are something that is bringing additional security level and is helping with the user experience. So it's a win-win situation if you ask me. If we consider and eliminate some, let's say, challenges that we're already talking about and we are trying to minimize it, I think the mobile network operators are the perfect ones sitting in the great position to offer the solutions and products to the market that are very valuable. As I stated, they are the one having the connections with the device. Doesn't need to be 5G. To be able to see, to be able to do the IP-based authentication, you just need to be on the data network. In order to check if SIM swap happened, you can be even on the 2G, doesn't even matter. It's not the 5G, let's say, it's required for some additional network-related use cases, but are not identity requirements. Another side is that, at least me, if you ask me who is a trusted company on a data space, of course government will be the, let's say, first one, then maybe banking, and then the telecoms for sure. This is true. Other than that, I cannot say that someone else who is selling, reselling the data and trying to prove someone's identity could be the really trusted organization or company. So that is the one of the reasons as well why I think that the mobile network operators are, let's say, trusted parties that can bring great solutions there. So we started with the number verify, but I stated number verify some kind of comparison with the SMS constantly because it's fulfilling the same use case. But we have plenty of other APIs from mobile network operators that can bring additional scoring of the number. And it's important to understand that authentication is not the only thing. And we cannot say just authentication, just number verify is something that is recognizing and bringing let's say, the trust of the person, the trust of the device when you are communicating with that device, with the business as a single, let's say, solution, a single API. So we will have later Helene from GSMA. GSMA is leading this Open Gateway initiative with the network APIs. You will hear what is their role and why they are important there. But all these use cases are coming finally with the mobile network operators discussing together with the association as GSMA, trying to build the proper use cases, standardized API with the GDPR compliance, and something that all together we are trying to bring to the markets, to different kinds of businesses. Of course, we are somehow starting always with the banking and financing sector because they are the one taking care about the fraud more than some other businesses. Just a short demo where we are showing the difference between SMS success rate and time needed and security in comparison with the number verify. So number verify is done in just 8 seconds. If you do authentication with the SMS should start, it's of course much longer. On other side, success rate or conversion rate is much better with the number verify, and what is even more important, there is no PIN to read to someone else. So social engineering as well is eliminated. But as I stated, this is just one use case. The rest we will discuss during the panel. So I would really, these are the benefits that will be discussed as well. But the thing is, mobile network operators are sitting in the perfect position. They're already working to bring the APIs to the market. Everything is done on the standardized way together with the GDPR compliance, together with the GSMA on the standard way. So that's why we believe operators are the one that can bring and should bring additional solutions and authentication products. So let me just as well to finish my part. So what needs to be, let's say, done from the operators? As I stated, they are the trusted company, but considering what we heard yesterday about the SMS trust we need to bring, etc., yes, they need to bring trust to the business. They need to unite better than they are doing today, because usually they are seeing each other as competitors. We want to change that because this big complex solution requires them to collaborate. And listen to market. This is what we as a channel partners are bringing, the clients that we are serving. We know how they want these solutions to work, why, and we want this to be as simple as possible. So an enterprise, of course, we want to engage them to use more and this kind of solutions which are more, let's say, user experience is better, security is is eliminated as much as possible. Of course, these are not the only solutions on the market. Telecoms are not the only identity providers, but our opinion, and you will hear from the panelists right now, this is something that all of us can offer and should be able to promote to the businesses that we are working with. So thank you. And I would like to introduce my great guests. So Helene, please, from GSMA, Adri from Vodafone, and Gautam from Sekura.id. So, if you want to imagine the ecosystem of the identity space, if you have on one side operators, then you have the channel partners, aggregators, and then you have the brands. We are just missing brands here, but I hope in some other panel we will have one brand as well to get together with us to discuss what are their pain points. But being channel partner and Gautam as well promoting these services around the world with the different enterprises, banks, etc., that we can bring some value from that side. So Adri being from Vodafone, and let's start from the supply side. So you're the one leading the, let's say, this network API. Space, I'm more than sure that you have something to say about.
Thank you. Number Verify has been around for a while, and you showed some of the user journeys that we have there. And while it definitely improves on SMS OTP a lot, instead of actually telling you what I think went wrong, as why adoption was not as big as it could have been, beyond security and preventing social engineering, I actually want to talk a bit more about how are we solving some of the problems and limitations that Number Verify one had. So to start, before I show you a quick demo, I just want to ask how many of you have registered for an eSIM, going through an eSIM? Yeah, almost all of you. And how many of you have registered in the London Underground to connect to your Wi-Fi with your operator? Okay. So the reason I'm asking this question is because we're using exactly the same technology that we use when you register an eSIM or when you're connecting to the underground to the network operator Wi-Fi. We're using exactly the same technology to solve authentication and to bring the next generation of Number Verify. And that uses something we call the entitlement servers, and it pretty much solves all of the weak points that we had with the first generation of the product. So before I talk a bit more about the problem that it solves, I want to show you a quick demo. It's very fast, so we'll have to repeat it, but the user clicks on continue with phone number. The application, let's say this is Airbnb or PayPal, it says, do you want to share your phone number with, let's say, Uber or PayPal? And then natively click share. And that's it, boom. So we'll repeat it again. Okay, so now in the app. So again, user clicks continue with phone number. They didn't have to type their phone number at all. No typing the phone number. And then you get this consent pop-up from the operating system, native. User clicks share. And that's it, boom. So now we can stop the demo and I'll explain what happened there, because it's very quick. So the benefit number one is the user doesn't even have to enter the phone number. In the example that you were showing there, the user were entering their phone number, and we expect that because the user now doesn't even have to enter their phone number, we expect a much better conversion rate. The second thing I want to talk about is it supports multi-SIM. So in the past, when you might have multiple, 2 SIMs on your mobile phone. When you click share now, you're able to select which SIM you're sharing your phone number for. It's as seamless as that. And what we have done is we have collaborated with Google to embed Number Verify deep into the operating system, which means whether you are trying to do verification in the browser, whether you're trying to do it in the app, you can be connected to a satellite, to Starlink. You can be connected to Wi-Fi, you can be connected to 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. It will work every single time. So we've solved the issues that we had with connectivity and whether the user is on Wi-Fi on their home network. That is now natively embedded into the operating system using exactly the same technology as when you're adding an eSIM. And it works every time. And because of this, we expect this, in our view, is the beginning of the end of SMS OTP. I know it's a very big thing to be said by a telco, but I think that we're so confident that this is going to improve the journey so much that developers are going to love it. Those are the main benefits without making it a presentation. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Adri. But then just maybe to skip to Gautam. So you are being in this space as well for long. I know even from GSMA we were discussing Mobile Connect, etc. And now, of course, the solutions that Adri is talking about, it's still not here. It's something that is future for sure. It's something that we all see in benefits. But now we have a number verify which is IP-based. So from your side, Gautam, what do you think about what we have now, what we would like to have in future, and what is your way forward?
Yeah, so this is a great evolution of number verify, right? And Viktorija, as you asked, what we have now, what we will have in the future, we always had that, right? So that the core of it is the SIM, and that has been there since 1991, right? And again, to remind us, I in SIM stands for identity. So in this new evolution as well, the core asset from the mobile operators which are utilized is the SIM and the SIM cryptography. Even in eSIM, that has not changed. So just to go into a bit more detail, Adri, what you were talking about. So Adri mentioned this entitlement server. Some of you may have heard about this TS43, GSMA TS43 specification, right? And that's a great thing, right? It's something which has been there in the industry for some time that is trying to be used in this number verify space. But the core of that, as Adri was mentioning, the Wi-Fi login use case, etc., is a technology called EAP-AK, Extensible Authentication Protocol, Authentication and Key Agreement, right? That was first introduced as an IETF spec in 2006. It's been there, for a very long time, right? And again, what it is utilizing? It's utilizing that humble SIM and the cryptography in there, right? And that's exactly what number verify, the current form of number verify, right, is utilizing as well. How it is implemented is slightly different, right? So in this new way, it will be implemented, it will be, as Adri was mentioning, it's embedded within the OS. So the usability aspect is evolving, but just so that we are all on the same page, number verify in the current form is utilizing the same, SIM as well. And what I would suggest and request is, let's use that, right? That technology has been there. And from Sekura X Connect side, we are seeing a lot of usage of number verify in the current form in countries like India, for example. And very interestingly, it's not just for the financial sector, right? Because generally that's come to mind. Oh, it is secure, it's much, much secure, so maybe the financial sector, the banks will use it. Of course, but for example, majority of our usage for the number verify in the current form, right, which utilizes, of course, the SIM, but it's not using, for example, TS43 yet and EPK. It's, for example, the quick commerce, which is very popular in India. So 10 minutes delivery, right? So in that case, the importance of security is there. But more important is the kind of convenience aspect, right? Because it needs to be delivered, the goods needs to be delivered in 10 minutes. And if it takes a minute to just authenticate, it doesn't work, right? You're actually taking 10% of the time in just authentication. So convenience is the driver there. And we are seeing, millions of transactions from these players. From, some interesting use cases like there is a marketplace for selling and buying cattle. And they needed convenience because the users of that are not very kind of tech-savvy, right? They needed the human to not be almost involved. They're using it in millions. And also, for example, some vertical social networks. So there is a social network for old age people, right? They're not that tech-savvy. For them, convenience is the important part, not just security. And security has to be there, but behind the scene, without involving the humans. Because another thing that has happened right now, we all can relate to that, and Andrew in the morning was talking about that as well, is that Gen AI, the same tools which we all are using to stop the fraud, the same tool is accessible to these fraudsters as well. And that's not helping. Maybe we can touch upon that later. But again, what I am saying is, in the future, we will evolve number verify, but it's available right now as well, so let's just use it.
Yep. In Brazil, for example, where we are as well very active, so TikTok, which is not obviously banking in the fintechs, they are now using number verify as well. The existing one, which is not SIM-based and IP-based. What we did as well, this Team Fun is the application from Team Brazil, which is operators they are using for their internal purposes. What we implemented in order to work on the Wi-Fi is the like millisecond change to data network from the Wi-Fi network, etc. Of course, zero charge. So those kind of workaround can be done even now, in order till we are waiting for the better solution of the number verify, which we should not wait because we will lose time. This to be available globally. But Helen, being from GSMA. And in this mobile connect world, I know you as well already for some years. So what is the role of the GSMA and Open Gateway? So how you are leading this initiative and why you think it's important, and from mobile network operators and from for GSMA side?
Yeah, you refer to Mobile Connect, and I think that was clearly shown that there was value in the mobile data to be used for anti-fraud, but it took a long time to get to that point. I think history and the focus might have been different at the time. Open Gateway has taken a much broader approach in terms of scope. I think it's come at a time when operators have got 5G networks, and it's looking at a broader scope in terms of what it does. It opens the networks via APIs to do anything, not just to check someone's identity, but maybe to program the network in the future and order quality on demand and things like that. And it's broader in its approach to geographically as a result as well, because I think it's really gathered the momentum from all around the world, which that's the novelty. I think we've got nearly 80% of the mobile connections that are now in operators that have signed up to that initiative. And we see that the operators are following up on their commitment by actually launching APIs. And so that's really taking it to the next level. The other thing that Open Gateway is doing is looking at the scaling, and so it's trying to be quite future-proof in that sense. So how do we scale? How do we automate the onboarding between a channel partner and an operator? So it's also incorporated these aspects, looking at APIs from TM Forum around this. And what the GSMA does, we're working with a number of other bodies, so the standardization of the APIs at the technical level in TM Forum, but also in Camera. But the GSMA is doing the certification, so ensuring that if an API is exposed, hopefully it conforms to the specifications, so the consumers of the API, the channel partners or the enterprises can expect consistency across the networks. There's a structured approach in terms of trying to listen to all the channel partners. So there's an actual channel partner work streams that is run to try and really bring the whole ecosystem into the initiative. And obviously, we're doing the usual GSMA stuff around case studies and promotion, but also the collaboration. There's a lot of projects in markets that are facilitated by the GSMA, where we've got all the operators in that market coming together and agreeing what they can agree within antitrust limitations in terms of launching APIs at the same time. And the results are there in terms of the launches. Obviously, because of the legacy knowledge that we had on identity anti-fraud, I think that was a well-understood opportunity demonstrated for years by some of the operators already. A lot of the launches that are happening are in this sphere of APIs that, as we've talked about, number verify, but also more broadly look at fraud signals that the operators can expose.
So I think that this new products which are emerging, which require collaboration and some kind of unifying mobile network operators together. This is the role of the GSMA, which you are doing great, because without collaboration of mobile network operators, not seeing each other as a real competitors, this will not be successful. It's just not possible. So this is why I think GSMA roles is very, very important there. But then again, to move a bit, if we want to compare SMS and all these challenges that we are having with SMS, artificial influence of traffic, trust that is decreasing, more and more brands are using some other channels to fulfill the same purpose. I mean, sending the same pins to some WhatsApp, it doesn't really make any better security or whatever. So, Adri, what do you think why number verifies will eliminate those challenges that SMS have and bring back trust to the operators?
Yeah, before I answer that, I also just want to add a bit more. You know, the overriding of the Wi-Fi is definitely possible in an app environment, but when it comes to, you know, if you're on Safari on Wi-Fi, that there's no, unfortunately, any mechanism. So there is a lot of improvements that this new standard is bringing, and absolutely, I mean, we do have a live traffic with the existing API. I think the message that I want to give is that we're not sitting still and hoping for adoption. We're bringing the next generation that actually improves on a lot of the pain points that we had in the past. Now, when it comes to artificially inflated traffic, there is a lot of benefits that you know, developers can get. There's a lot of traffic that they're paying for, which is actually not leading to authentication. So I'll try to be very practical. You know, you have developers, you know, you have users who are signing up for virtual numbers, you know, sending SMS. This is not possible with Number Verify, because you need to have the SIM physically, well, or not physically, in the case of eSIM, connected to the device before you can do an authentication. So there's no virtual number sending just, you know, raw SMSs. The other thing is, today the user is impatient. They also, you know, they click send SMS again, and so sometimes the developer can end up paying for 2-3 resent SMS for a single authentication, whereas, you know, the business model typically for Number Verify is pay for successful authentication. So, you know, that resending 2-3 times, you know, it's not a thing because the SMS is not delivered or whatnot. I mean, and the other one is that obviously in the SMS world you have aggregators that also charge per delivery. Okay, so delivery means you've delivered an SMS. That doesn't mean the user authenticated. It just means you have delivered an SMS. So, you know, a lot of the developers end up paying for delivery of SMSs that do not lead to authentication. Again, with Number Verify, you pay for authenticating, not for the delivery of an SMS that might or might not have reached the user. So those are, I think, you know, super critical factors that will, I believe, drastically reduce artificially inflated traffic as a problem and developers paying for costs which are actually not authentication.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I think these are the solutions and the trust that operators are bringing to the market. Then when we are talking about identity, Helene is the one who is leading mobile identity part of the whole Open Gateway initiative, I would say, in GSMA. So Helene, what you will say, what is a mobile identity? Is it just Number Verify, or there are some other data sets, points that operators are bringing to secure more trust on the number, or how you are seeing this part of the identity while we being on the digital aspects using our mobile devices?
Yeah, so that's obviously, you alluded to it in your presentation. The idea of mobile identity is to build trust based around the mobile number, but that trust can come from a number of data points, and a lot of them will be dynamic. So what's happened to that number, and has the SIM changed hands and been swapped and you've changed your device, and all these sort of events that could have happened, that might mean that the mobile number hasn't got the person you think behind it. And there's obviously all the checks that an operator might have done on that person, on who is the person behind that number, so their name and address. So can you trust that this user is over 18? Can you trust that this phone number, well, the person tends to pay their bill, so will they buy now and pay later, or will they not pay back? Can you trust their address? as their onboarding, and can you make your KYC a little bit lighter, which we've seen done. We've seen banks that have a path that's a little bit more streamlined for those that have an address that matches their phone number. So don't ask them to put another document, upload and all that. So can you streamline your onboarding? Can you make the transactions more secure because you've got fraud signals? All of that around the dynamic data and the sort of CRM data that an operator has behind the phone number. And then it's also, can you keep that trust? And if you build it around the mobile identity, you need to make sure that you keep it when there's life cycle events around the number. So if someone changes their device, or you don't want to contact the former holder of the account on the phone number that now is with someone else. So there's other points that you might need to make sure this identity stays bound to the right user. And so yes, in terms of what we're seeing happening in Open Gateway, this is very much where the focus has been in terms of first the specifications, that the camera is where the people specify the standards, and there's a dozen of identity-related APIs that have been defined, but in terms of launches as well. I was just checking this morning, and I think we've got a portal that keeps count, try to keep count of how many APIs operators have launched. There's over 300 and are listed there, but when you filter by identity and location, it's over 90% of those launches. So really, this is what operators are launching around the globe. This is where they see the opportunity to do something because of all this data. And I think what's the last thing I'd like to say is this also translates into a different way of thinking for the operators in terms of the partners, because that data is going to be valuable to a lot of enterprises and a lot of departments in the enterprises that might not have traditionally worked. They might not be using SMS for communication, but they might have a fraud engine that could use these data points. So how do we plug this data into all the channels that are going to get us into the use cases and solve the problems the enterprises have around fraud, not just and around fraud and identity verification, not just around communicating with customers and authenticating them.
But I think that a lot of work still needs to be done on the operator side to help the database they are having, to have the proper information of name, surname, address, age, etc. Once this will be accurate and we will trust those data there, then they will be able to really have the full picture and the proper identity.
And it plays its role in use cases that might be different from what you might get from a government. If you want the super secure data, you might go through a much more difficult process, like John was talking about earlier, about you have an EU ID wallet, and it might not be super practical, but you want to prove your identity to a university, but then you want something quick and easy to prove you're over 18, to access, to buy something. Maybe you want that data that gives you a good level of trust.
I agree. But even to, government, you can give one address where you are governmentally signed, but you can really sleep or live somewhere else, which operators can know by location, etc. So they have some advantage and disadvantage, but it's a lot of data there on the mobile network operator side that we can really carefully select and create the value to the market. But then if we think that more and more countries are banning SMS for authentication because of the realistic purpose, because it's not secure enough, etc., and Gautam, Philippines and other countries. So do you think that all these, not just number verified, and all these data points that we are discussing today can be the proper solution, especially in these countries, and how we can market and go there and try to present mobile identity as something that is really great as a potential solution if we compare it to other, let's say, authentication identity methods that we were listening today and probably we will still listen today?
Yeah, absolutely, Viktorija. So in many of the markets, you mentioned Philippines, I think Malaysia probably was the first one where they explicitly stated SMS OTP cannot be used. I think it's already been implemented by the bank Nebara of Malaysia. Also, Singapore has a similar thing. In India as well, Reserve Bank of India last year gave a guidance that the industry should look for solutions other than SMS, not just SMS OTP, mobile originated SMS as well. I think this year in US, FINRA as well has got guidance by July the industry needs to look for. And these are not just incidentals, right? There are reasons. We need to accept beyond, AIT, we need to work as an industry too, and we are doing that, right? Beyond that as well, one of the things that we need to really get into terms is, so SMS OTP, for example, was first used in 2006, right? Of course, ChatGPT didn't exist at that time. So after November 2022, when ChatGPT came into the picture, the world has changed. And in our world as well, the world has changed even more than we expected. So what does that mean is, for example, after ChatGPT, right, there is an increase of 4,000% on phishing attacks using SMS OTP. The recent one that we talked about, that Andrew mentioned on the MNS one, that was also a phishing attack, actually a spear phishing attacks, where information was gathered. So in 2023, for example, after that ChatGPT event, these AI agents were coming up, right? And they were kind of the red teams of the organizations. They were trying out the efficiency of these, let's say, AI agents acting as fraudsters against humans. There was a 31% kind of less efficient these AI agents were, right, doing this spear phishing. Because for spear phishing are targeted attacks, right, where you need to gather a lot of information about the user. If a human does that, yes, it's possible. It takes time, right? You need to gather first name, last name. You need to gather their mother's maiden name, etc., right? It takes time. But now these agents, the scalability is massive. You just give them an instruction and they will do it, right? But they were not efficient in 2023. So 31% less efficiency. In 24, there were 10% less efficiency. There is a report that came out in March this year. They are 24% more efficient than humans. So all these attacks are done by these AI agents. So as I was saying earlier, the tools that is giving us more efficiency, the same tools are available with these fraudsters, right? So how does it impact this SMS OTP thing? And again, as Helene, you were mentioning, it's not just about one product, and we need to look into this holistically. And that also ties up with this post-ChatGPT, this Gen AI evolution, revolution, whatever we say, right? Because any data which is static can be used to train machine learning model. Any data which is static can be generated using Gen AI model. It's just a matter of time, right? In our world, we have been trying or experimenting with guessing, not guessing, basically finding out whether the person is a male or female, or the, let's say, age range of the person without asking anyone, right? Purely using Gen AI models by training machine learning models using the sensors in a mobile device. Every mobile device has got 13 or 14 sensors, gyroscope, magnetometer, etc. And we achieved an accuracy of 96%. So that's the world we are living in, right? So, in the phishing world, previously what used to happen was you receive a phishing, we all have received it, right? You receive a phishing message, and you will say, no, this is phishing. You will not share the OTP, right? Why? Because the language will be not that efficient. There will be spelling mistakes. But then ChatGPT happened. Now these fraudsters were using ChatGPT to generate these phishing messages. There is a paper actually published by University of Texas in May 2023, and it says how to do phishing attacks using ChatGPT. That's a paper in archive. You can Google it, right? So then again, the language became much more accurate, but it didn't stop there. What happened was, now we all love to share all our personal information in Instagram Reels and Facebook, right? So now using these AI agents, these fraudsters can access all this information and then fine-tune these large language model to generate the phishing messages. So they are not just accurate, they become very personal because it's using our own data. The scary thing is, it doesn't just stop there. I was in a conference and my fellow speaker was a neuroscientist, and we were waiting for our turn. The guy asked me a very simple question. He asked that, why do you think some content become viral? Whether it's a, kind of cat video or a text or a reel or some sort of article. So I said, maybe it's, Bayesian distribution, the normal distribution. He said, not really. Apparently, and again, I don't know, I'm not a neuroscientist, of course. What he said is, they don't know why, but they don't know what's going on. So basically, apparently, those viral content somehow increases the level of neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin in our blood, so that we become a bit kind of the term that is used in psychology is amygdala hijack. So our amygdala, we have two brains, system 2 and system 1. System 1 is where we don't think, we just react. So the system 1 gets activated somehow, right? So now, these fraudsters are fine-tuning this large language model with this viral content. What does that mean is, the phishing messages will not just be accurate, they will not just be personal, they will make us emotional and induce this amygdala hijack. And that's exactly what is going on, and it's not just theory. One of our colleagues were a victim of this, and I'll not go into the details for that, because he's in our industry, right, fighting fraud, but he was a victim.
Yep.
Right? So anyway, so that's why SMS is great for communicating. And as you said, Viktorija, earlier as well, that's not something that was designed for security. It was designed in 2006 for communication. And now we have tools available. Adri gave that brilliant demo there. We have number verify, which is utilizing the same cryptography which is there since 91, right? We need to include that with all the other signals from the mobile operators, which are not static, because otherwise they will have this GenAI tools using it.
Yeah, thank you, Gautam. So we are past the time. I don't know, Susan, do we have a time for a question or? And if it's a questions here.
If it's a one really quick one, then yes.
If not, we will still be here, so you can grab any of us. Thank you very much for being here on the panel.